What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today, I want to have a serious talk about what us black people need to do before Europeans start European War 3 that they like to call World War 3, because it's coming. I know you guys, may not be paying attention. A lot of people are complacent. Most people in society are complacent. They're still wrapped up in their individual bubbles of what it is they're doing in their towns, their villages, their cities. They're not fully aware of what's happening in the globe, and they're not putting two and two together. They're not putting the pieces together. As a global African, as a global human being who has been involved in global affairs and who lives in Washington, D.C., a Washingtonian, the majority of Washingtonians, and let's be honest, the majority of Washingtonians are very worldly people, like African Americans, Afro-Caribbeans, and Afro-continental Africans who live in my particular area. We are very worldly individuals because most of the jobs have something to do, whether it be government or contract, has something to do with something happening on another in some other part of the world, right? That's just the nature of industry in this particular area, Maryland, DC, Virginia. So we're very worldly. And because of that, it's our duty to spread, or to inform our people, right? So what I want to do is inform you guys what's more than likely going to happen. Now, Europe is about to enter what we call World War III, all right? It's actually already started. And I need you guys to understand World War I started this way. World War II started this way. It's not an instant flash in the pan. Military just start going at it. It always starts with corporations and politics and individuals, egos, interests, family, jealousy. That's how it all starts, right? And then it rolls, snowballs, because you got to understand that the majority of the planet will be considered peasants, right? Right? Peasants who just living their lives, trying to survive. We will be considered like, if we were in the ocean, we would be krill, all right? Krill, little shrimp that live their lives and they're susceptible to the rest of the food chain, right? No matter what you do in your life, you are susceptible, if you are a peasant, to the food chain, and everybody eats you, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. You go with the current, you have no choice. That's most of the world, right? Then you got your sharks, your dolphins, you got your squid, you got your other animals, right? You got your other people who are higher up the food chain. It doesn't mean that they deserve to be there. It doesn't mean that they're better than you. They were born either in money, born in a specific location. It just is what it is. This is one of those, it is what it is, right? And you got to understand, the money that's being thrown around is old money. The higher up you get, the fewer people there are, right? So we're dealing with, I like to say, old white men in suits. We are dealing with a few, very few, a football stadium size, like a regular football. If you put all the people who control the world in a stadium, they probably wouldn't even fill it up, to be honest, right? But all these people, because they own the means of production, because they own all what we consider money, right? And because they have the means of production, because they have all the money, they can dictate what people do, right? And because all these people don't get along, you understand? That's the thing about it. Just because they're all on the top don't mean they get along. They are savages, and they will kill each other if given the opportunity, and they will kill and use and eat the krill, right, to further their agenda. We are krill, right, which is little shrimp. And so right now what's happening is Africa, the black men in suits, right, and this is the result of Africa standing up. I'm just letting you know, Africa is currently standing up. Europe, before they went into Africa, they were fighting. Europeans have always fought and killed each other. This is what they do, right? You must take this seriously. They fight and kill each other because they don't have resources. They cannot survive without leaving their lands and plundering and pillaging other people, right? They have perfected this art of plundering and pillaging and enslaving. We call it capitalism, right? It's been sanitized. The transatlantic slave trade, right, was capitalism. It was a primordial form of capitalism. The transatlantic slave trade was the exact type of slavery that white people placed upon each other when they were isolated to Europe. It's just that they spread it around the world, and the rest of the world wasn't used to it. Yes, the rest of the world had what we would consider slavery, but it wasn't like that. It was more of a communal exchange of people. It was more of indentured servitude, right? You were a human being. You could live. It was okay. It was fine, right? It was fine, right? Comparatively for the time. But what white people have done, because they're a very warlike, primitive like group of people when it comes to community, and they've always been individualistic. There's never been a community. They will always stab each other in the back. There's never a solid alliance ever, right? And because of that, and because of their warlike tactics and their sneakiness to take advantage of the kindness of humans globally, right? They have managed to take over the world, in this recent time, right? But right now, before slavery, do you know that while they coordinated to carve up Africa, they were still fighting each other. And the only reason they stopped it, because they couldn't afford it anymore. It was getting too expensive. But what's happening now is that Africa, right, because we are, to be honest, there's nothing superior about Europeans other than their trickery, right? Their trickery is superior. I mean, they got it. I gotta give it to them, right? But now that Africa is standing up, they are taking back their resources. Europe relied on those resources, all right? Europe, that's why y'all keep hearing me say in my videos, white Wakanda, right? The white Wakanda is because Europe did not develop until they stole from Africa. Europeans cannot develop anything without Africa and Asia, okay? The only place in Europe that has resources is Eastern Europe, Ukraine, Russia. The Eastern Europeans, Ukraine, Russia, the people we would call Vikings, right? Those people, they have always been mortal enemies to the Anglo-Saxon, Francophone Germanics, all right? Those are the French, the English, the German. They have always fought each other. They are not, those English people and those French do not look at Eastern Europeans as one of them. Even though us from the outside, we see white people, right? They are not the same. They are not the same. There never was a time where they were like, yeah, we're all one. Never. That's why I find it funny how all these white people try to claim Vikings. They're like, Vikings, you're a fucking barbarian, savage Anglo-Saxon. You're not a fucking Viking. You're what? Right? But that's just neither here nor there. So what's happening is white folks, because they can't steal from Africa anymore, because the black man is standing up. So the result of that is that now white people are losing access to the easy resources that they had to run their countries. And the only European places that have resources are like Russia, Ukraine, and this and that. The Western, which means the Anglo-Saxon, barbarian, German, Britain, France, them guys, they have been trying to invade Eastern Europe for the longest. That's why, either soft or hard, that's why the UN is continuously trying to add Eastern Europeans to the United Nations to bring them in the fold for their resources and all that stuff right now. Where Russia and Ukraine are currently fighting, that is the Fertile Crescent of Europe. They are currently fighting on some of the only arable land in Europe right now, right? That's where the battle's happening. For the only place they can grow shit, all right, in Europe. That's what's happening right now. Russia has all the oil, all the gas, the thing that Europe needs to fuel their economies and keep their houses warm. You must understand, Europe is a cold place. In the wintertime, if they don't have power, they die. Unlike Africa, if you could be poor, you ain't gonna die. It's still nice outside. But in Europe, when you're poor, you die, okay? It's totally different out there. The consequences for not having money, not having fuel, is death in Europe. Therefore, they can't afford not to have it. They were getting their oil and they were stealing the minerals they need to run their nuclear warheads and their nuclear power plants and all that shit. They were getting that from Africa. Burkina Faso, Mali, Nigeria, various other, the Chad, all these countries that are currently saying, fuck you and everything you about, white man, right? So now their only resources are to go to other places like Venezuela, some of these few Asian countries, and to try to continue to take more territory away from the Eastern Europeans via you either join the UN or we're gonna crush you somehow. But because of America, right, and America propping up Europe, the European nations have become very weak. Their militaries have become very complacent, all right? They're very complacent, and their population have been going down because of capitalism. But they have not been paying attention to it, so their white frog has been boiling, and they have not been paying attention to it. And then what happened was we added this Donald Trump guy, who is not a patriot. He is not part of the pan-European organizations. He is America in Israel, America, right? Which is a different sect of white supremacy. The America and its territory is so big, it's bigger than Europe. They're like, fuck it, we don't need Europe. We're gonna just do our own shit over here. Problem is, if America has that posture, that means Europe no longer has Big Brother to protect them or to hold back Russia, which Russia has a vast amount of resources, as Russia consists of multiple countries that's not really Russia, okay? Russia consists of multiple countries that do not consider themselves Russia, but they have vast amount of resources, okay? So Europe right now is preparing to go to war, but at the same time, they don't have that money stealing from Africa anymore. They don't have that easy money coming in. So now they got to do it on their own, which they don't have the infrastructure built to do that. Just like Africa doesn't have a large manufacturing infrastructure, because Europe set up Africa to be a raw resource exporter, right? Just like China and them, they don't have any resources, but they have a manufacturing economy. Why? Because Europe set Asia up to be a manufacturing hub. So Africa is the raw material, Asia is the manufacturer, and then Europe is the end user. We're the consumer. We finish the product, meaning we just paint the little name on it and shit like that and say, look, added value, right? The shit was sweet because it was like the whole world became a manufacturing plant for white folks to enjoy, right? But all that's changing because first China said, fuck you. Why should we manufacture your shit, your white label shit? You add value and sell it back to us when we can just put our own name on it since we're the ones making it anyway, right? So that was the first plug pulled from them white Europeans. And then the Africans like, well, fuck, why would I give you this raw material so you could just sell that shit back to me later for a ridiculous amount? Fuck it. So now the manufacturing plant white people have set up is over. So Europe can't make that money no more. They pull. That's why in every European country right now, they have to implement austerity measures to raise money to continue to run their countries. That's why they're trying to raise the age of retirement. That's why they're taxing people more. That's why they're doing all these things to piss off their citizens, because their citizens used to have it good, it was sweet. But now their citizens got to come off more money. They got to pay more taxes. They got to retire even later. Shit like that, right? The benefits they used to have is going away because shit's getting tight, because the rich people are not going to give up their extra money. They're going to keep their extra money. That's what's going to happen. They're going to say, fuck all the krill, right? The shark's still going to eat, but the krill, we're going to let them suffer. That's how they see it, right? So Russia knows this. That's why Russia has always supported African countries in their liberation, because Russia, even though, all right, so Russia has never colonized Africa. Not because maybe they couldn't, they probably couldn't, right? I don't know if they could, probably couldn't, but they colonized other places. That's why Russia's so big, because they were too busy colonizing other people, right? But Russia has always supported Africa and its liberation from Europe, because Russia knows if Western Europe can't get money, can't get oil, can't get minerals, can't get shit from Africa, then that means they don't have the finances or the money to compete with Russia, the Eastern Bloc, the old USSR, right? So it behooves Russia to partner with Africa. African leaders now know, hey, the Western white Europeans have been keeping technology from us. The Western powers have been holding our economies back, holding our militaries back, holding our ability to grow back for the sole purpose of keeping us in the position that we are in to be subservient, right? They know they can go to Russia and get the same technology, get the same knowledge, the same training from these Europeans in order to uplift and build their economies. That's what's happening in Africa right now. That's why Africa is rising. They also know they can go to China and get even more technology, even more manufacturing capability. Because here, this thing about China. China and Africa has never had an adversarial relationship. China and Africa have been doing business for thousands of years. I know you don't know that, but Asia and Africa have been doing business for thousands of years. They've been trading with each other. So all they're doing is rehashing, reopening the old trade routes. The Silk Road went to Africa, right? The Silk Road went to, like, we've been trading, right? So Asia and Africa, who can have a pleasant relationship. Yeah, now sure. Were there some Asian companies taking advantage of Africans? Yeah, that's business, right? If you allow every Chinese company that's ever took advantage of an African country or community had help by another African within that country that allowed it to happen, because they all in cahoots. All right, and the same thing. And are there Asian criminals in Africa? Yes. Are there African criminals in Asia? Yes. Just like you see Chinese people in Africa starting businesses, there are African people in China starting businesses, making millions and millions of dollars, while Chinese people are suffering in poor. That happens, is going on both sides. It can't be helped. That's the way economics works, right? But overall, the mood is China, Asia, Japan, all the other Asian countries can do direct business with Africa because they don't have resources. We have resources. They give us the capability of manufacturing. They help us build infrastructure so that we can move goods and services around to China. And in return, we'll give them resources. So we get a better benefit for our raw resources instead of giving it to white folks who don't do shit but steal, right? So because that's happening, because Africa and Asia has cut out Europe and they're just doing business directly with each other, uplifting each other together. That's what's happening. That's really what's happening. Europe is being left out to dry, right? But they had America at least. Now, they don't even really have America. So Europe knows they're on their own. So they have to capitulate, right? Because they can't finance their white Wakandas. And Russia sees a weakness in Western Europe, and they're about to take advantage. That's why they're sending drones over there to Poland. That's why they're testing the security of the United Nations right now. This is the start of war. Russia has all plans to start a war, because Russia be damned if they allow the UN to get all the way to the Russian border so that America or some European Western country could put nuclear warheads and bunker bombs right on the edge of Russia to be able to threaten Moscow. It's not going to happen. Like that, they're not going to let it happen. And they will go to war, total war, to stop it from happening. So right now, Europe is gearing up to go to war. Maybe next year, maybe a year after that. China may take this opportunity to attack Taiwan and try to get that back. They tried it like 4 times already. They failed, but they might try it again because they really do want Taiwan back for resource purposes, right? And this is a golden opportunity because we have an inept president And we have an inept administration that's so worried about being the superior white American with a capital M, not American with a capital M, that they don't even care about urine. So this is a golden opportunity with a weak America for all the global players to make their move. So while all that's happening, this is what I think we should do as black people. Honestly, if you are a black person in Europe, you need to go back to Africa or the Caribbean, period. You need to leave Europe. All black people needs to leave Europe. If you can, you need to leave. If you can't, you still need to leave, period. If not, you will get caught up, period. Straight up, that's just what it is. You need to go back to Africa, go back to the Caribbean now. Get the hell out, make plans, get started. Because you don't want to be in the middle of this shit when white people start dropping 500-pound bombs on each other in Europe. Do not think it can't happen. Because in World War I, they didn't think it was going to happen because they thought they were so sophisticated and modern. In World War II, they didn't think it was going to happen because they thought they were so sophisticated and modern. It's going to happen. And you need to get out the way. In America, as black folks, you need not to live around white folks. If you are a black person, do not go moving into a predominantly white neighborhood. Because when white people get into war mode, they're just going to kill who don't look like them while they're killing them. If you are there in the way, you will become a victim. Do not make yourself a victim. Move your ass back to the hood. Come to the east and southern coast of America. The hood was safe. It's them fucking burbs where black folks are coming up missing, coming up lynched, fucking daughters disappearing and shit. If you notice, it's them burbs, it's them sanitized, dead, soulless suburbs of America that has all the trouble happening behind those closed doors. You need to come back to the black community, period. If you are black, you need to be living amongst black people because you know we can protect ourselves. We can protect ourselves. If you are a gun club, you need to be recruiting. We need to protect our bubble within America. If you cannot go to Africa, because that's where you should go. Every black family should be preparing somehow to go to Africa. You should have a vacation home in Africa. You ain't got to move there directly, but you should have a vacation home in Africa to escape. Right when you see that shit about to start, when you see Europe start dropping bombs, you get on a plane, take your ass to Africa so you can get the fuck out the way as best you can. Now, everybody can't afford to do that. I understand that. If you can't, you need to move your ass to predominantly black communities. You need to come back to the South. You need to migrate back to the South America. Get the fuck out the West Coast. We don't belong over there. Let the Mexicans have the West Coast. Bring your ass to the southeastern part of America. From New York all the way down to Florida. That's where we need to be. If you are a part of a fucking gang, what the fuck are you guys doing? Stop that dumb shit. Have some diplomacy and stop fighting each other and organize the way you were meant to organize at the very beginning and protect your communities. Instead of fighting over blocks that don't belong to you, instead of fighting over old feuds and shit, elevate your mind and start fighting for your community. Crips and Bloods should be fighting. Crips and Bloods should turn into actual organizations that protect their community. If white Italians can do it and create unions, if white Irish gangs and mobs can do it and create unions, then why the hell can't black African-American gangs do it and create protective organizations and unions to protect their communities? Go back to what you was meant to do instead of being out here fighting each other while everybody else is surrounding us trying to kill us. If you got old heads need to be organizing the young dudes, get yourselves together, go out here, learn how to shoot guns legally and stop trying to be a thug and all that shit. Go out here and become a warrior for your community. That's what gangs should be doing. Straight up. You want to fight? Huh? You got smoke? Huh? You got all that testosterone you trying to use it? Well, use it for a good purpose. How about you do that? And I guarantee you, you will have more people joining your communities. Rebrand the name. Rebrand yourself. Organize and make yourself legal. Turn into a club the way these white people do it. That's what y'all need to do, right? Black people, we need to coalesce, right? We need to conglomerate with each other. We got to stop the stupid fighting because this war is coming. Y'all don't understand how nasty war is going to get. And y'all don't understand when the beast becomes a beast, there's no morality. You understand? When white folks get in beast mode, there's no morality. If you there and you black, guess what? You're a target of opportunity. You're going to become a victim of opportunity. This shit is real. So black people with money, you need to be out here if you got money, you travel, go to Africa, start building hotels, build communities for your people to escape. If you ain't got no passport, You better get yourself a fucking pit, spend $150 goddamn dollars and go get your goddamn passport and stop bullshitting. I know every broke ass African American can get $150 and apply for their passport so they can get on a fucking plane and get the fuck out of here. Period. If you don't want to go to Africa, go to the Caribbean. Go get a citizenship in the Caribbean somewhere. Go to South America somewhere, anywhere where there's black folks. Get your ass up and get ready to get the fuck. That's what y'all need to be able to do. You should be able to do it at a moment's notice. Put money away for a plane ticket. You need to put, everybody should put $1,500 away. $1,500. If you ain't got $1,500 to put on a plane ticket to get the fuck, we got a fucking problem. All right? You can spend money on all that dumb expensive shit. You can spend money on having an escape plan. All right? You see these white folks making bunkers and shit, spending all their money on fucking MREs and shit. They been knowing it's coming. So y'all need to do the same shit. And if you can't go, you need to go buy guns. Go get your goddamn concealed weapon license. Start buying shotguns and ammo. Do what so you can't go, be able to protect where you at. That's what needs to happen. This shit is happening. And the canary in the coal mine is already dead. You understand? We're past the point of return. Ain't no returning. This shit is happening. So black folks, stop entertaining yourself with mindless, useless entertainment. Who gives a fuck about somebody's hairline? Who gives a fuck about any of that dumb shit? There's some of these dumb people who's distracting you with mindless entertainment when right now it's not time to be entertained. It's time to be serious. It's time to organize. It's time to rearrange our mind because shit's about to go hell in a handbag, and if you are not prepared, you will be a victim. So that's all I gotta say, man. This is real. I'm ready. And I'm getting ready. And I'm getting my family ready. I got my nieces getting passport. If I gotta pay for it, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna make sure if shit go to hell in a handbag, right? I can get as many of my family members up on a fucking plane to any goddamn place. I go to St. Thomas, I got a spot out there. I go to Trinidad, I got a spot out there. I go to Nigeria, I go to Ghana. It don't matter. But we need to be able to move when it's time to move. And we need to be able to protect ourselves when it's time to protect ourselves. Because shit is going to happen. It's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. Before things get better, because it will. This has to happen. Listen, this is what it looks like when white supremacy falls. You didn't think it was going to be a nice thing. You think it was going to be a fucking party, did you? This is what happens. When an animal is cornered and it knows it's about to die, it's going to do everything it biologically can to survive. And that's what white people are doing. They are eating each other alive because they no longer have the resources from the world to steal anymore. So they have to do it to each other. They got to enslave each other. They got to kill each other. They got to steal from each other. And while they're doing that, they're going to fuck everybody else up around them because this is what they do. History has shown you. If you white, you don't want to be a part of this shit? Hey, you better get your motherfucking passport and go somewhere brown too. I'm just keeping it 100. Because that's the only place that's going to be safe. Is a place that's brown. All right? Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. If you like me, and you understand what's going on, reinforce what I got to say in the comment section. Add to what I'm saying to these people. Y'all need to listen. All right? Because what's going to happen is, in about 5 years, this video going to pop up like, damn, that motherfucker was right. Yeah, you goddamn right I'm right. I told y'all ass a long time ago. Y'all should listen. All right? Anyway, tell me what y'all think in the comment section. Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach some. I'm out.